So welcome to part 2 of leveraging AI and understanding AI for business. If you listened into part 1, you heard all these amazing gems from Nick and Mark, and the rest of this conversation is continuing and even more shared from them. And this time we talk a little bit about some of the ethical and some of the moral things to think about and other ways to use the tool. So I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. The user experience. So our friend Stacey Sherman talks a lot about customer experience. For those of you that might remember, Stacey was a guest on the show several months ago, maybe a year or so ago. I'll tag the episode down in the notes here. Stacey talks a lot about customer experience, and it is really important. And I talk to my team about customer experience, and as podcasters, we want to create a great customer experience. What's a customer's experience on the receiving end of an AI communication from your business?
I mean, I guess that depends on the business and what's going on. You got anything for me, Nick?
I mean, I think right now it would probably go over really well with how popular everything is. Like chatbots are we kind of saw a weird wave where everyone wanted to avoid the bots. Everyone wanted to talk to a very real person. And now everyone's implementing these very intelligent bots onto their website. And I haven't heard too many bad things about it happening, like about people using these things. And I think a big part of that is how accurate the information can be. And again, training that information or training like your ChatGPT essentially to handle that information is a big part of it. So rather than say, Sid, you want to learn about my business, so you go into ChatGPT and you ask it about my business, you might not know the right questions to ask to ChatGPT to get the best answer.
Right.
So instead, you come to my website and you start typing in stuff in the chat. I've already trained it and kind of pre-programmed in some prompts. So when you ask that question, it's framing it in a way that pulls my information correctly and gives you the best answer.
Yeah.
So it's taking the intelligence of it and like refining it to a very specific data set, if you will.
So I think the thing here is ease of use, right? And ease of access, meaning your customers want access to information on their time, not on our time. Right? They want the ability, if they, like, let's say a customer wants to know what our lead times are. They want to be able to go to our website and type in what are your lead times when it's convenient for them. And then that may not be from 8 to 5 while our team is responding to emails. It could be at 10 o'clock at night after they put their family to bed or whatever, and they need to go do some more additional work, and they walk in their computer and they want to go to our website and say, what are the lead times, so they can do their planning. We can use tools like this to respond to those types of questions.
Absolutely. And heck, we can train it to even learn how to close the deal for us too, if we want to, at least upsell, right? If a client or a potential customer has some specific questions about your offering, and then you train it to tell it give it not only the answer, but then also, what else can we do for you? Here's some other services we provide. You could have it doing that selling for you as well. Now, not necessarily suggesting that that's the way you should go. I'm suggesting, though, that you could be doing some upselling without them even realizing it, because they're chatting with a chatbot.
Okay, so every business owner and salesperson that's listening to this podcast, ears just perked up, because you said you could use AI to increase your sales, which increases revenue, which then increases profit, right? So, and the analogy or the example that you gave was specifically to like a chat bot on a website or asking your website something. What are other ways that you could actually use it, Mark, to increase your revenue?
Well, that, I think we go back to the marketing aspect. Nick figured out a system for us. He created a whole funnel system for when we launched ChatGPT. When we launched NextGen Podcaster, I wish we launched ChatGPT. When we launched NextGen Podcaster, we had a bunch of people showing interest. We were collecting emails, and we created a sequence for a funnel that came up with every email and follow-up email within that funnel to bring people in, show them the different pieces of it, and it was better than anything I've put together to date so far. So yeah, that's just one way.
Yeah, on top of that, and something that we've actually been playing with is building our own AI tools. And that is something that I'm going to tell you right now, I have virtually zero coding experience other than understanding what some of the stuff means.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to actually structuring and building something that actually works, no clue at all. But I was using ChatGPT to help me with a lot of this. And I've seen a lot of people say someone owns a marketing agency and they create essentially a bot that puts on the website that's like an email headline generator. And you just type in your topic or whatever it is, click the button, and boom, you have a bunch of email headlines. And people are taking it a step further to send them custom reports and things like that, where you have to put it in an email. So it kind of becomes like a lead generating funnel. But these tools are becoming so easy to develop now. And if I can do it without knowing what I'm doing, just telling ChatGPT to help me develop this tool and it can give me majority of what I wanted, like these things can get put on your website, can help bring in new leads, can help bring in more sales. Yeah, it's just a matter about how creative and how much you want to dive into the whole AI world.
And think about it also, Sid. I know you do some email marketing. I don't know to what extent, and I know you do some. And I know, imagine now being able to custom tailor emails to every individual client or potential client based on what we know about them. You can teach this artificial intelligence information about where this potential customer is in the process of buying your products and services, and you can cater the message specifically to them using things like ChatGPT and the plugins like a Zapier, and it can automatically customize to that person's needs, those person's challenges, and offer solutions that your company can provide them to solve those problems.
Okay, so you just said something that I think is pretty important to talk about for a hot minute. In the office furniture industry, I often talk about, and the listeners that are frequent to the show have heard me say this, what is the problem that our products solve for our customers? And it is the one question that stumps most people. And because a response for a task chair is completely different than a response to a desk or to an acoustic phone booth. I mean, they're all across the board, right? But we really got to dive into understanding the problem the business problem, let me clarify that our products solve for our customers. And what I just heard you say is that a tool like ChatGPT could very well help us understand our clients better and help us understand their pain points so that we could assess how our products solve their problems. An example I might be is a healthcare facility manager. We could get a profile of a healthcare facility manager if we sold healthcare products and understand who they are, what they want, what their wins are, what their pain points are, and then go as far to talk about how our product solves that problem for them. And a lot of research done in 30 seconds because it's fast. I'm over exaggerating there, guys. It goes really, really fast, right?
Oh yeah, really fast.
So my head's spinning a little bit because I really didn't understand that you could do it this way. And you mentioned something a few minutes ago, Mark and Nick. I'm curious, since you're building the back end, if you've tried this. What I thought I heard you say is that I could put a spreadsheet into AI and it would analyze the data. I just have to tell it what I want.
Yeah. Now, Nick mentioned it, and I think I did as well. ChatGPT recently in May introduced plugins, and these plugins are allowing us to do things like that, giving a lot of information all at once, where if anybody who's listening has used ChatGPT before, you can only give it so much information in one swoop. Otherwise you have to kind of break it all down and give it piece by piece. Now there are these plugins that will allow you to upload PDFs and spreadsheets, and then you can ask it to analyze that data for you in any which way that you want it to, and it will go through that information and spit out an answer for you.
Wow. Have you used it like that way, Nick?
So yes, I've done a little bit of that. Right now, I'm still waiting. There's one plugin that has yet to be fully released yet that is going to really harness a lot of that power. Um, and from what I've seen of the alpha testers on this plugin, yeah, people are getting like full-blown company financial analysis with graphs and charts and breakdowns and opportunities and like all of this different stuff, all from
What?
uploading like a
Oh,
simple financial
really?
spreadsheet.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's mind blowing.
Wow. So I could
I've
just take like a quick little month to date sales report about who bought, how much they bought, all that kind of stuff. And I could give it criteria to analyze that data and give me predictions for future growth. And it could do all of that.
absolutely.
One thing I'm really wanting to try so badly is to download Google Analytics information and plug that into ChatGPT and see what it can come up with, see where it can find consistencies and room for opportunity and places where we might
Recommendations
not
to
be doing
adjust
so
your
well.
website to do all
Exactly.
that. Wow.
And I've tested it with PDF reports from the podcast industry talking about what happened in 2022, and then what I can do is say, all right, now tell me, what can I take advantage of? Where are my areas of opportunity for 2023 with my podcast? What can I be doing based on that information? And it is like Nick said, it is mind blowing that it's able to go through the data and then identify opportunities for growth for your business. You won't believe it till you do it.
I'm dumbfounded at this very moment. I had no idea that were the things that were possible with it. So now it's making me want to go try it and play around with it and pay the $20 a month for ChatGPT. But let's go to the tools. So ChatGPT and Jasper are just two of them. How many different forms of AI tools are out there for people to use? I mean, we talk a lot about ChatGPT because it's easy, and I feel like this has almost been a ChatGPT commercial. There's no affiliate fees, guys, here. So anyways, what are the tools that are available to us?
Nick and I are working actually on our top 100 tools, and we are about three-quarters of the way there.
Stop. How many?
These are just our top 100 tools.
Yeah, we're like sifting through dozens and dozens and dozens of different AI tools to try them out, play with them. And yeah, I think our list, we haven't even played with them all, but our list is up to like maybe 60.
I think,
We're
yeah,
still
I think we're
sifting
approaching
through, like,
75 now. Yeah.
we passed on a lot.
So everybody's jumped on this train then.
Oh, yeah.
It's truly started a snowball effect.
Yeah, one of my favorite recent tools that I've been using that is all AI generated it's basically like a plugin for Zoom, and when I do, it's called Read AI, and basically what happens is when I start one of my meetings, this AI joins the meeting, and not only is it transcribing what's happening in the meeting, it's identifying the top questions asked during the meeting, the calls to action that you and your other person or team have discussed. So you can go through, and it can even tell you the quality of the conversation. Was this an engaging conversation? How engaging was it? How engaged was I during that conversation? It will break the entire meeting down to just about anything that you want to know about that meeting.
Oh my gosh. And does it take up a spot on the screen?
It does. It does.
I don't like that.
I
want it
don't
to be in
love
the
that
background.
either. Me too.
Because, I don't want YouTube viewers, because we have several people that watch on YouTube. Like, that's weird. They don't listen on apps. They watch on YouTube. It would be weird to have a little, AI bot box there.
Yeah, probably not the best for a podcast, but great for meetings with your team. And prospective clients too. I got to tell you, Sid, I'm using Read AI a lot when I have those meetings with a potential client, because it helps me go back afterward and digest everything that we just talked about, and then create some action items that I can do to make sure that I'm following up and closing that sale.
So it'd have a summary for you, like, this is what happened, and here are the takeaways. Here's the action step, and then you probably could ask it probably a few other questions that would give you sales insights about what I should follow up with on this customer, or what we should focus on. That's really
absolutely
cool.
Yeah. And Sid, also, I know, like you mentioned, we've been talking a lot about ChatGPT, and the reason for that is, I guess, really calling back to something we talked about earlier. It's being used, that it's really the way that artificial intelligence is running right now. So, and even if it's not ChatGPT, it still goes back to what I was talking about, that pre-generative training model. That everybody's using that transformer, I should say. Everybody's using that same technology right now. So that's why we constantly go back to it, because it's all about coding without having to code, by just using regular language to get the computer system to do what you want it to do.
So, Nick, are you a Snapchatter? Just out of curiosity, do you Snapchat?
I a little bit, not enough.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, my daughter was enamored with this. Like, Dad, have you seen this? So like, I'm wondering how long before all the other social media platforms have an AI built in. Like, I would love to open up LinkedIn and say, write me a LinkedIn post around this picture or this image, and it do it, and then hit post, and all of a sudden it posted. I mean, that would just be wicked for that to happen. Instagram too.
Yeah, and I guess I'll throw out a word of caution for a lot of these tools too, because it's such a big thing and everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. There are companies that are maybe not going about it as safely as OpenAI is and as Google is, because they're slowly releasing a lot of this stuff as they test it, as they play with it, making sure responses aren't dangerous for potential people using it. And I had heard some pretty scary things about the Snapchat one, specifically about it just being released and it giving some very less than ideal answers for their audience.
So that's like a warning to parents here. There is a there is an artificial intelligence into Snapchat. You should go check it out and ask it some questions and see what it does. It was really funny. I saw a LinkedIn post the other day, and it said is asking ChatGPT about a word that starts with F and ends in UCK, right? And it basically spit out this response that said, I am a professional, blah, blah, blah. This is inappropriate language. But the person replied. So it was great. I liked how ChatGPT said, hey, I'm not going to use these kinds of words. I'm not going to do this, right? The guy responded to the word I was thinking of was fire truck. And ChatGPT responded with, oh, thank you very much. That's a really great point. It is, right? So, but it caught it, it censored it in a way that said, hey, maybe you don't want to, I'm not going to use this. You should consider, not using it too. So,
right. And said, this also is important to discuss, the idea of, like you said, if you could go onto a LinkedIn and tell it to generate the post for you and just hit submit, that would be something that Nick and I would strongly discourage, because it is not perfect and it does get answers wrong. It does sometimes plagiarize, right? If you're not careful, it is going to use someone's actual words or work, and you don't want to post it up there without that knowledge. And you want to make sure, if that's going to post, how are you going to handle that? Are you going to credit the actual person if it's plagiarized, or are you going to rephrase it altogether? There's all sorts of things ethically and morally to consider before just hitting post. So it's important to cover.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that's actually one of the bullet points I wanted to talk about. Is let's talk about for a second. Thank you for transitioning us. Nick, who's the host of this show again? He just transitioned us, like moved us away. No, I appreciate it, Mark. I appreciate it, Mark. What are some of the legal, ethical, and moral things to consider when using an artificial intelligence tool in your business? Nick, you want to start?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now it's kind of the Wild West in a lot of regards. There aren't a whole lot of rules, laws set up right now that say one way or another. Or a lot of the stuff right now, we're kind of making assumptions and choosing the best moral and ethical way to go about doing it. Because I know there are lawsuits, especially once you get into the music and the art, not just text alone. Like, there are lawsuits happening all over the place with that stuff, saying that it's copyright infringement, and it is a real possibility that this is kind of the route we go down. With that said, everything that Mark and I preach about using this. We love these tools. They help save us a ton of time, but what you get out of these should never be like a finished product. We always look at it like a first draft. So we can use ChatGPT to help us draft up a blog post or draft up an email sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the first draft. Then we go in there, we add ourselves to it, we change it, we remove things that aren't relevant to us or to our audience, and we make it our own versus just saying, okay, ChatGPT took care of that job that I don't want to do. Now let's go on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Mark?
Yeah. I think the danger of doing something like what we're discussing here is that if we're not careful, if we're just using it as is, we're all the other challenge is then we are regurgitating the same content over and over again, whether it's ours or someone else's. We're basically going to start feeding AI the same information over and over again because it's spitting it out and then it's learning from it and then it's spitting that out and learning. And so we always encourage people to use your own words, use your own work to get started, feed it with your framework of a blog that you want to write. And maybe you don't know all the things yet that you want to include in that blog, but get it started and work with ChatGPT or something like it as a collaborative partner, right? And say, here's what I've got so far. What's missing from this blog? What can I add to this blog? Can you check it for grammar and spelling? Use it as a partner or as an assistant rather than doing all of the work for you, because that's where you can fall into all these different traps of plagiarism, getting the wrong answers, etc.
I want to add one more thing to that.
Yeah.
Sid, if I can, just because you were talking about LinkedIn, and one of the things that I had done with it that was kind of fun and kind of cool, I was developing a LinkedIn post, and I had it said it was like we were promoting NextGen Podcaster, so gave it some information about that. It spit out a LinkedIn post, but it didn't feel like a LinkedIn post. Like LinkedIn posts are usually very story driven. They talk about some kind of problem, come to a resolution. Like they're a little bit more long-winded than, say, Facebook or Twitter. So I went back into ChatGPT and asked it to add a personal story. And obviously this wasn't my personal story.
Sure.
But it did. It added it back in and it worded it like it was me, like, oh, I remember back when I was starting my podcast, yada, yada, yada. And it touched on a problem that I had or something that was very similar to what I had. I never had thought about that. I wouldn't have thought about that, but it did give me the idea to say, oh, I have experienced something like this. Let me go change some of that stuff and put my actual experience in here and frame it so it's my problem and the things I went through versus just what ChatGPT made up. So
that's cool.
It's really great to kind of bring back some stuff that you might have tucked away in the back of your head that you're not even thinking about or would think about unless it kind of brings it to light.
So the bottom line here with this is you can't just take it straight out of ChatGPT or anywhere and use it. You need to be morally and ethically responsible, and you need to review it and add your own words into it and your voice into it before you use it, whether it's an email, a LinkedIn, Instagram post, a blog post, a communication to your company or to your customers. Review it, add your words to it. Don't just take what it spits out because it could involve plagiarism and maybe it could be wrong. So you want to fact check it as well on some of those things. But I love the idea of like, if you're a video person and you want to create videos in your business and you can go in and say, hey, give me 10 video ideas around this topic and it'll give you bullet points. The same thing with blog. Give me 5 blog ideas around this topic, and then you can take it from there and start then the process of it.
Absolutely. And it's funny is, Sid, when I have these conversations with other business owners and we're having this particular part of the discussion, some of them say, oh, it sounds like too much work. Why I'd rather just do it myself, else it'll save time. I don't really believe that's the case. I think that I'm sure you're familiar with the 80-20 rule. ChatGPT and others, software like it, is really, in my opinion, can get about 80 or so % of that work done for you. I'm willing to give up that 20% and take that time to tweak it to make sure it's mine. And that usually changes some minds as well. If I went to a business owner and said, I can free up 80% of your time, they might want to listen to hear how, and it to only have to put in that 20%. It's not a big deal in the big picture.
Or save you 20%, right? I can decrease the time to get to market, or decrease how long it takes to do this. Back to Nick's point about productivity earlier, then absolutely every business owner is going to want to listen to ways to increase revenue and increase profits.
Yes.
Right. Attract more customers and then get more business from your existing customers. 4 things that every business owner or business leader wants to understand. Right?
Yeah. And how about, we haven't even talked about dealing with vendors, right? Maybe you have an uncomfortable email you need to write to a vendor, and you do not know how to phrase it in a way that's professional without sounding insulting, right? Write the email and put it into software like GPT and ask it to do it in a more professional, more formal way, and it will do that for you. And it'll keep your own, it'll still keep your words and keep your overall tone. It'll just maybe bring it down a little bit to a more professional and direct answer rather than the emotional answer that you probably want to share with that vendor.
The one that you wrote and then hit the delete key on. Right?
Yes, right. Or the one that you wrote and you accidentally hit send and you didn't mean to hit send. Yeah.
Now, can you load the email into it and say, please write a response to this email?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as simple as, right now, it's as simple as copy and paste. And I know there are also plugins that will help you do that as well.
Well,
so gentlemen,
I mean, we haven't talked about it, but I mean, Google, they've already started implementing these tools in their apps. So,
okay, so let's talk about that though. Let's actually talk about that. So ChatGPT started the snowball effect. Microsoft is doing something with Bing. Google is doing something. So tell us a little bit about these integrations that you're learning about, Nick. And like I heard that like there's a AI plugin in Google with like Excel or with Word or their version of Docs. Sorry. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So Google has their own version of ChatGPT called Google Bard, and really dumb name, I know, but they started implementing it. I feel like they could have done better. They could have done a little better.
Sorry, Google marketing department and naming company. Nick does not like Bard.
I'm calling you out.
Yeah, and with all due respect, when Google came out back in the day, we were asking what the heck is Google, right? It was also a terrible name back then. Now we all know and love it.
Yeah, we use it daily.
Yes,
that's fair. They know something. But yeah, so now they've taken this idea of these generative AI tools and started implementing them in the tools themselves. So right now with Google Docs, essentially your Google's version of Microsoft Word, as soon as you open up Google Docs, you'll be greeted with a message that says, what do you want to write? And then same thing on the Gmail side, you open up an email on Gmail that you're going to write, and it says, what do you want to write? And you can type right in there. It'll spit out an email for you, or you can highlight the email and tell, like, rewrite this in a different tone. Change the way that this is worded, make it shorter. Like you can kind of have a little bit of flexibility with that. And Microsoft's going to be doing the same thing with the actual Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook. This is kind of like the next big thing. Google was actually the first to start implementing this stuff. And I think this summer, we're going to start seeing more of these tools directly incorporate this kind of technology.
So in Google, do you have to add an extension or anything?
No.
Okay,
it will now just pop up on the blank doc or on the blank email. It'll pop up a little message and says, do you want my help with this email? Do you want my help writing this Word doc or whatever it is? So yeah, it'll just do it right automatically.
If it helps short circuit, it's probably maybe a bad choice of words, but if it helps reduce the amount of time that it was going to take me to do something by utilizing a tool that I could put a little bit of information in, and what normally would take me 45 minutes to do, I can get done in 20 minutes. Then that's a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Right. Making you more efficient, more effective. So Microsoft, Google already has it. Microsoft's coming with it. Some social media apps already are coming with it. There's the time the ones you can get by yourself that you can just use however you want to. And then there's the localized version of it. I mean, this stuff will make your head spin.
Yeah,
so much of it.
Yeah. Wow. And let's be clear too, Microsoft, when they saw the success of OpenAI and their product ChatGPT, Microsoft dumped in $10 billion into that company, right? So they knew right away to jump on it. I just felt like it's important to share that because we're talking about them incorporating stuff. It's really, again, it's ChatGPT specifically that they're incorporating into their tools.
Very, very interesting. So I think my takeaway here is be smart about using it. Take it slow, one step at a time, figure out how it can help you and how it can help your business. And honestly, surround yourself with people of knowledge about the product and the tool to understand the best way that it can help your business move forward.
Yeah. And I would add, have fun while you're in that exploratory phase, because that's how I've learned it. Is when I first got to it, I wasn't necessarily trying to figure out how it's going to help me grow my business. I was just playing with it. What can this thing do? So I was doing things more like hobby and humorous stuff just to get comfortable to see, okay, I asked it to do this. It didn't seem like the best answer. How can I rephrase that question and ask it again to get a better answer? So just play with it. Don't feel like you got to dive in full force. Just start experimenting first, and slowly but surely you'll start thinking, oh wait, I can do something like that with my business, and that's where everything unlocks.
Wow, so cool. Nick, guys, we've been like going on forever about this, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface about what's possible. Nick, any final words from you about AI and business, and any recommendations or tips?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Mark said, I completely wholeheartedly agree. Without playing with the stuff, it's really hard to understand what it's capable of and what it can do for you. So just kind of play it, figure out what you can figure out. Don't give up if you put something in there, it doesn't give you the answer, like still play with it. And then the last thing I want to add, more as like another kind of safety precaution getting into all this stuff. I mean, we've seen how many tools are coming out. There's a lot. And it could be very easy to find a tool and be like, oh, that sounds really awesome without knowing anything about who developed it, who created it, going and downloading it. And now you've just given access to who knows who's on the other side. So I hear a lot of people get super excited about all these AI tools and diving in. Oh, I got this and I got this and I got this. And it's like, well, who even made it? I don't know who made that. Like that sounds sketchy to me. So have fun with it, play with it. It's going to be beneficial for you, but also be smart about it. If you don't know what it is, at least do a little bit of research, ask around, see if other people have used it. And if you can't figure it out, maybe don't use that one. But obviously we've been talking about ChatGPT a lot. So that one, go ahead, use that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's talking about chat. But the bottom line is do your research, do your homework, investigate the company that's developing it, the app, before you just dive in head first to use it. All right, Mark, any final words from you?
Man, I think I said it all. Yeah. And I think I will just emphasize one of the points that Nick mentioned, which is if it doesn't work the first time or the second time, don't give up and don't assume this thing doesn't work or that you don't know how to use it. You've got to keep trying and keep crafting those prompts, as we call them, to fine tune them and get that answer you're looking for. And the more you do that, the better you're going to get the next time for the next thing that you're looking for it to help you with.
So I have found this conversation to be absolutely fascinating. When I reached out and said, hey, let's do this, I really didn't know that I was going to learn as much as I learned today. And admittedly, my head's spinning a little bit about what's possible with this. And I'm sure the business leaders, business owners, and the people listening are thinking the same thing, like, how can I use this tool? And I'm excited about this. I agree. I think we could talk for a whole nother hour about this. So I really appreciate both of you coming and sharing your expertise, because this is like real time live. You're into this and you're learning about it on a regular basis. So it's all very fresh and you're sharing those insights. And I think those are the best insights, like practical. You didn't go to school to learn about this and come share your expertise in this. This is practical, real use. And Mark, I think you said this in the beginning. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
You need to lean into this and figure out how to leverage this and utilize this for what's best for us as individuals, as well as what's best for our businesses, whether you work in a company or you own the business, what's best for it. So guys, thank you very much. Final question of the day. Nick, we'll start with you. If our community would like to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Probably Instagram. And my handle is @95free. It's all spelled out.
You don't have to. We'll drop it down in the show notes for everybody
Beautiful.
to be able to reach out to you there. Mark, what about you?
I will say, yeah, you can reach me on most platforms at Marc Ronic or at Ironic Media. I would say if you really want to see what I'm up to, check out one of two websites, ironicmedia.com or what Nick and I have been working on, NextGenPodcaster.com. And although maybe some of your audience isn't podcasting, I still think they can find a lot of great information like what we're talking about today over there on that podcast, on that website, NextGenPodcaster.com.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And we will drop all of that down in the show notes to click on and to be able to, for everybody to be able to go over and check it out. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. And to all of you out there listening, thanks so much. And we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone.